Hi guys, welcome to 10-Minute English with May. Today we're going to talk about parenthetical expressions. So, what are parenthetical expressions? By definition, it is a phrase. A phrase means a group of words without subject and verb. So it's either a phrase or a clause. Now, a clause is a group of words with subject and verb. Okay, so we know that it can either be phrase or clause that's inserted into a sentence to add extra information. Now, they're also referred to as non-essential, sometimes non-restrictive information because they're not needed to understand the basic meaning of a sentence. So we can kind of think of them as interrupters or add-ons to a sentence. So now, knowing that this parenthetical expression or non-essential information can be removed without changing the main meaning of the sentence, we also need to know that they are always enclosed by commas. Okay, so you can think of the commas as the boundaries. Whatever comes within those commas can be taken out, and you would still have a complete sentence. Now, what are our four main types of parenthetical expressions? The first one is direct address. So let's look at the example. Sarah, can you close the door? So a lot of students often end up thinking that Sarah is the subject, but no, it's directly addressing a person. It's more like an interjection, right? You can cross out Sarah. You can see that you is the subject, can close is the verb. And then you can also move Sarah to the end of the sentence. Can you close the door, comma, Sarah? Okay, so that's why it is separated from the rest of the sentence with the comma. And the comma that comes at the beginning is called an introducer comma. So if you're not familiar with the four types of comma, feel free to go and check out the other videos. Now, the second parenthetical expression is conjunctive adverbs. So conjunctive adverbs are the transition words that we use very often, like however, therefore, nonetheless, on the contrary, thus, so on and so forth, right? But when we have a conjunctive adverb in the middle of the sentence, it becomes non-essential or parenthetical. So the women ate a bit later. The however is placed inside the sentence, so that's why you need comma, comma, what we call inserter commas to enclose that information. Now, the third type of parenthetical expression is contrasting expressions. So a negation. The women, not the men, ate at the restaurant, right? This is contrasting with the women in the beginning, so comma, comma here. And this is a phrase because not the men is a group of words without subject verb. The fourth type is common expression. For example, the baguettes, I think, were the best sellers of the day. Now, I think is subject verb. So this is a parenthetical clause. And this is a very common expression like I think, I believe, I'm told. When it's put inside one single sentence, it is enclosed by two inserter commas as well. And this is probably by far the most common parenthetical expression tested on the SAT. So let's take a look at a few more examples containing parenthetical clauses. The Tower of London retained its original form. Many scholars believe subject verb in the middle of a sentence enclosed by inserter commas, right? Try and cross it out. Do you still have a complete sentence? You do. The Tower of London retained its original form until the reign of Richard the Lionheart. Second example. Some hospitals report, again, this is subject verb, enclosed by inserter commas. After you cross it out, A new software is helping doctors make diagnoses and avoid the types of errors. So be careful. The call here, this is not a verb. This is actually a past participle. It is adjective function. Number 3, critics agree. Again, subject verb, the common expression, cross it out, enclosed by commas, right? Frank Gehry's buildings are among the most important examples of contemporary architecture found in the United States. And number 4, as she frankly told us later, she is subject, told is verb, again, parenthetical expression, cross it out. Mrs. Bartholomew had been frightened out of her wits. Subject, verb, that is your independent clause. All right, so now let's try and take a look at 2 SAT type questions. Oh, but before I do that, this is a table of some common parenthetical expressions. But for SAT purpose, be familiar with the conjunctive adverb, which is our type 2, and our subject verb, our parenthetical clause, which is type 4. Now, let's look at this. I don't bother reading the whole paragraph. So what I do is I start from the fact, the sentence itself, because context here is not important. This is obviously a subject verb type question. Now, what is my subject? Remember, for SAT, a sentence can have multiple clauses. So it's very essential that you know which clause belongs, which subject verb belongs in which clause, and then you can cross them out accordingly. So in this case, whenever I see that, we know that is either a relative pronoun or subordinating conjunction. So that means there is a dependent clause. So I'm going to cross out that England began importing cheap cotton from Egypt, because that is a dependent noun clause serving as in a positive, which is just a modifier. Now, some students say, oh, the fact is the subject. You're not wrong, it is the subject, but what is the corresponding verb? Because I know that the underlined section is not the verb that goes with fact. And why not? Look at this comma here. There is a golden rule. Never use a single comma between subject verb or verb object, because in that case it would look like this: I comma eat apples, or I eat comma apples, and they simply do not work. So in this case, you would have to continue reading. Hey, there is another comma here. That means there is parenthetical expression over here, and your independent clause is actually the fact affected the outcome of the war. So inside this parenthetical expression, it is a clause. So some historians is the subject, and your verb has to be plural, which is be. A, C, D are singular. So a tip for taking the SAT: whenever you're in doubt, choose the odd one out, right? That's the only plural one. Okay, so remember that sometimes you can reverse the order of subject verb, and the verb may precede the subject. Okay, it's more of a stylistic preference. Now, moving on to the last question. So same thing, I'm going to start from the sentence and then look at my subject verb. Armstrong's historic achievement, which is the subject, marked a significant milestone. Milestone is the object. And let me cross out this prepositional phrase: in human exploration. Okay. And argues historian Dr. Emily Jones, it was a testament. So now we know that it was a testament. That is another sentence, complete sentence, right? And that is why you have this comma fanboys. Comma and to join or separate the two complete sentences. So again, our formula is comma fanboys equals semicolon equals period. Now, argues historian Dr. Emily Jones. You know that, oh, this is my parenthetical expression, right? Dr. Emily Jones, this is my subject. Historian is the subject. Dr. Emily Jones is part of the subject. It's in the positive, right? Argues is the verb. And as we know, you need two commas to separate the non-essential, the parenthetical expression. So the answer would be C. Now let's try and cross it out. Cross out the commas as well, so it's less confusing. After you cross it out, try reading it out. Armstrong's historic achievement marked a significant milestone in human exploration, comma, and it was a testament to human ingenuity and determination. And there we have it, right? Two complete sentences joined by comma and. All right, and that's it for today's parenthetical expression. See you next time. Bye-bye.